Vaishnava Paramahamsa Parishwara Stotra Satoshi Shimad. His Divine Grace Shilesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Thai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3. Chapter number 14, titled The Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening. Text number 51. Maitreya Uvacha Shrutva Bhagavatam Pautram Shrutva Bhagavatam Pautram Amodata Ditir Brisam Amodata Ditir Brisam Putrayoscha Vadam Krishna Putrayoscha Vadam Krishna Vidit Vasin Mahamanaha Vidit Vasin Mahamanaha Maitreya Vacha Shrutva Bhagavatam Pautram Amodata Ditir Brisam Putrayoscha Vadam Krishna Vidit Vasin Mahamanaha Maitreya Vacha Shrutva Bhagavatam Pautram Amodata Ditir Brisam Putrayoscha Vadam Krishna Vidit Vasin Mahamanaha Maitreya Vacha Mataji's. Word for word translation, Maitreya Vacha. The sage Maitreya said, Shrutva, by hearing, Bhagavatam, to be a great devotee of the Lord. Pautram, grandson. Amodata, took pleasure. Diti, Brisam, very greatly. Putrayo, of 2 sons. Cha, also. Vadam, the killing. Krishna, by Krishna. Viditva, knowing this. Asit, became. Mahamanaha, highly pleased in mind. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The sage Maitreya said, hearing that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her sons would be killed by Krishna, Diti was highly pleased in mind. Purport. Diti was very aggrieved to learn that because of her untimely pregnancy, her sons would be demons and would fight with the Lord. But when she heard that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her 2 sons would be killed by the Lord, she was very satisfied. As the wife of a great sage and the daughter of a great Prajapati, Daksha, she knew that being killed by the personality of Godhead is a great fortune. Since the Lord is absolute, His acts of violence and non-violence are both on the absolute platform. There is no difference in such acts of the Lord. Mundane violence and non-violence have nothing to do with the Lord's acts. A demon killed by Him attains the same result as one who attains liberation after many, many births of penance and austerity. The word brisam is significant herein because it indicates that Diti was pleased beyond her expectations. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksuramritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we will be discussing from the last verse of this chapter, titled The Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening. So in the last week or so we saw how Kashyapa Muni was telling his wife Diti that because of this conceiving children at this inauspicious time, the result will be that 2 great demons will be born from your womb. And then Diti, she starts regretting, she starts feeling guilty, she starts lamenting, feeling repentant. And then she starts praying to Kashyapa Muni, begging forgiveness and asking, is there any way we can please Lord Shiva so that Lord Shiva won't become angry at me? Is there any way we can rectify the situation? And then seeing Diti's genuine repentance, Kashyapa Muni, he becomes pleased with her somewhat, and he pacifies his wife by saying, don't worry, although 2 great demons will be born from your womb, at the end, these 2 demons will be killed by the Supreme Personality Godhead. They won't be killed by any ordinary person, but their death will come about by the hands of the Supreme Personality Godhead. And Prabhupada in today's purport, he's explaining that Diti, she was no ordinary personality. She was the wife of a great sage, Kashyapa Muni. And she was also, from the other side, she was the daughter of a great Prajapati Daksha. So naturally, being brought up as the daughter of Daksha, being married to a great sage like Kashyapa Muni, she would have studied and heard all the Shastras, the conclusion of the Shastras. So in today's purport, Prabhupada is explaining that Diti, she had this wisdom, this transcendent knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. Any way a conditioned soul comes in contact with Krishna, it's for his good, it's for his betterment. Even if someone is killed by the Supreme Personality Godhead, although externally it might seem like something bad, but because Krishna is all good, because Krishna is absolute, even when someone gets killed by the Supreme Personality Godhead, they attain liberation. So Diti, she had this wisdom, she had this knowledge. That's why when she hears that her two demoniac sons would be killed by the Supreme Personality Godhead, instead of being sad or disappointed, instead of lamenting, she was actually quite happy. And Prabhupada, in today's end of the purport, Prabhupada is saying the word brisam is significant herein because it indicates that Diti was pleased beyond her expectations. So she was very happy to hear this, that her sons would be killed by the Supreme Personality Godhead. Generally, if we hear, our children will be killed in this way, that way, it's bad news for us. But in Diti's case, because of that transcendental wisdom which she had, by being the daughter of Daksha and being the wife of a great sage like Kashyapa, she understood that this is actually a good thing. My sons will get killed by Krishna and they will attain liberation. And Prabhupada in today's purport is explaining that ordinarily to get liberation, one has to do tapasya, one has to do austerities for many, many births. Bahunam janma ante jnanavan mam prapajyate. So many births one has to take, for many births one has to do tapasya, austerities, study of Vedic literatures, just to come to the point of liberation from mature existence. But Prabhupada is explaining that Krishna, he is so merciful that the demons he kills, he immediately gives them that same benediction of liberation. So this is how kind and merciful Krishna is. So Diti, understanding this, she is very pleased to hear this from the mouth of her husband Kashyapa. Second thing that pacifies Diti is that Kashyapa Muni benedicts his wife, that don't worry, because you're genuinely repentant for your actions and because of your great devotion to Lord Shiva, your grandson will also be, although your two sons will be great demons, but one of your grandsons will be a great elevated devotee of the Lord. And no ordinary devotee, he'll be such a great devotee of the Lord that his name and fame will eternally be glorified throughout the universe, all over the universe, eternally. So that grandson of Diti is none other than Prahlad Maharaj. So in the last couple of verses, we've been hearing descriptions of the glories of Prahlad Maharaj, how great of a devotee he will come. And I like the verse we went through on Saturday. I think this is text number 47. So in text number 47, I'll read the translation. It's described that for Prahlad Maharaj, everyone will be pleased with him because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller of the universe, is always satisfied with the devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. So we covered this verse on Saturday, and I like one point Prabhupada mentions in his purport, a very powerful point. So this verse is explaining that Prahlad Maharaj, he will be such a wonderful devotee of the Lord, Diti's grandson Prahlad, who will be such a highly advanced devotee of the Lord that everyone would like him. Whoever Prahlad Maharaj meets, they would be so pleased with Prahlad Maharaj's character. Even though they might be his enemies or averse to him, Prahlad Maharaj, by his wonderful devotional qualities, he will be pleasing to anyone and everyone. Now in the purport, so when we hear this, the glories of Prahlad Maharaj, our heart also aspires to be like that. We all like to be a personality like Prahlad Maharaj. We all like to be a type of devotee whom everyone likes, right? No one wants, we don't want to be just liked by certain group of people and not by others. We all want to be liked and loved by everyone. So this was Prahlad Maharaj's case. So how can we become like that? How can we conduct ourselves in such a way that we will be pleasing to everyone, we'll be friendly to everyone, and everyone would love us. Everyone would be very friendly with us. In the purport to that text, text 47, Srila Prabhupada, he gives details into how Prahlad Maharaj, he attained that state. Prabhupada explains, first thing Prahlad Maharaj did to become like that is that he was personally seeing Krishna within the heart of all living entities. So no matter who he was seeing, whether animal, human being, demigod, demon, whatever living entity came in front of Prahlad Maharaj wasn't looking at the external physical body, but Prahlad Maharaj was looking within their hearts and seeing Krishna himself seated within the hearts of all living entities. And he was seeing every single jiva in relationship with Krishna. Okay, Krishna is seated within the heart of this person, and the jiva is right next to Krishna. This jiva is a servant of my Lord. So like this, with that spiritual vision, Prahlad Maharaj was seeing all living entities. And Prabhupada explains, that's the first step. First step is Prahlad Maharaj, his spiritual vision. Now because Prahlad Maharaj has that spiritual vision, Prabhupada then explains what Krishna does in reciprocation. So we all hear from Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, the famous verse, Ye yatamam prapajyante tamstateva bhajamiham. As all surrender unto me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. So this is Prahlad Maharaj's devotion, that he is personally seeing his Istadev, he is personally seeing his supreme worshipful deity seated within the hearts of all living entities, and he is personally seeing every single living entity in connection with Krishna. Okay, this person, he is part and parcel of my Supreme Lord, and right next to him is my Supreme Lord. So this is Prahlad Maharaj's bhakti, this is his devotion. So then Prabhupada explains, Krishna, he is bound to reciprocate accordingly. His pure devotee is acting on such a great level of consciousness, so then Krishna has to reciprocate accordingly. How does Krishna reciprocate accordingly? Prabhupada explains in that purport that the Super Soul is seated in the hearts of different living entities Prahlad Maharaj is coming in contact with. Prahlad Maharaj is seeing Krishna within the heart of certain living entities. Then Krishna, seated within the hearts of those living entities, is preaching to those living entities that this person, Prahlad, he's a great person. You should be friendly with him. You should develop friendship with him. Don't worry, you don't have anything to fear. Be friends with this person. So this is how Prahlad Maharaj was able to develop friendship with all living entities. It all started with his consciousness. Because he was personally seeing Krishna within the hearts of everyone, Krishna reciprocates by preaching to all those persons Prahlad Maharaj was dealing with, telling them that this Prahlad who you're talking with, he's a great person. You don't have anything to fear. You don't have to be envious of him. You don't have to be afraid of him. You can fully trust him. You can develop friendship with him. And Viraj Krishna Prabhu, he was giving the examples of how when Hiranyakashipu, when he was trying to kill his son, Prahlad Maharaj, he tried in so many different ways. For example, he put him in front of a huge elephant. And this elephant, he was supposed to come and attack Prahlad Maharaj, stomp on him and kill this 5-year-old boy. But what is Prahlad Maharaj's vision? Going by Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada is explaining, Prahlad Maharaj is not just seeing an elephant in front of him. Prahlad Maharaj is seeing Krishna seated within the heart of the elephant. And Prahlad Maharaj is seeing the soul within the heart of the elephant and seeing Krishna next to the soul. So because Prahlad Maharaj has that spiritual vision of the elephant, of Krishna within the elephant, Krishna seated within the heart of the elephant as the super soul is preaching to the elephant that this Prahlad, he's a nice boy, don't stomp on him, don't harm him, don't do anything to him, be friendly with him. So that's why when the elephant comes, the elephant doesn't stomp Prahlad Maharaj. Although it's the nature of this elephant to be intoxicated, very angry, and whoever comes in for him, the elephant will come and smash him. Still, because Krishna is seated within the heart of the elephant, Krishna is preaching to the elephant. Don't do anything to this person. He's a nice person. Be friendly with him. Same way, when Prahlad Maharaj is put into the pit of snakes, Prahlad Maharaj is not seeing snakes. Prahlad Maharaj is seeing Krishna within the hearts of all the snakes. And he's seeing the jiva within the hearts of all the snakes, seeing them in relationship with Krishna. So then again, Krishna has to reciprocate. He is pure devotee. Because of his bhakti, he's seeing himself within the hearts of these snakes. So then Krishna, as the super soul in the hearts of the snakes, is preaching to the snakes. Don't bite this boy. this person, Prahlad, he's your friend, don't do anything to him, just remain neutral. Don't come near him, don't poison him, don't bite him. So this is the way Prahlad Maharaj was able to develop friendship with all living entities. This is the way he was pleasing to all living entities. All starts by his consciousness. So in the same way, if we want to develop genuine friendship with everyone, if we want to be pleasing to all personalities, to all living entities, then from our side, we have to cultivate that consciousness. From our side, we should see all living entities with that spiritual vision. See Krishna within the hearts of all living entities, and see all living entities in connection with Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. That all these persons, they're all servants of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Krishna is seated within the hearts of all these persons, so let me associate and deal with them very nicely. If we do like that, then just like Prahlad Maharaj, we can also be friendly with everyone. And I was thinking that this quality would be very helpful, especially when we go out to preach or distribute books or Harinam. Sometimes, like for anyone who's distributed books, they all have this experience that certain persons will go approach, will think that no way this person will buy this book, no way this person will give Lakshmi and take this book. But somehow, they'll take the book. Somehow they'll give Lakshmi and take the book. And this we can experience more and more if we develop this Prahlad-like consciousness. When we go out to distribute books or preach, do any outreach, if we genuinely try and cultivate our consciousness of not seeing the external body of other persons, but seeing the soul inside, seeing Shri Shri Radha Gopinath seated within the hearts of all these persons we're dealing with, then Krishna will reciprocate accordingly by telling these persons we're interacting with, as the super soul from within, that this person is a nice person, give him some money, take this book, this is good for you. Just like Prahlad Maharaj is coming across a big elephant, an ordinary elephant, we'll just stomp him. But the super soul in the heart of the elephant is telling him, don't do anything to this boy, he's nice. Just like the nature of snakes is to come and bite. But the super soul is telling the snakes, this Prahlad is nice, don't do anything, don't harm him. So in the same way, when we go out to do outreach, we'll come across similar elephant-like people who will be very big, who may be just interested in beer, sports, rugby, wrestling, fighting, and we'll think, this big elephant-like person, there's no way he'll be interested in reading a book. He's probably never read a book in his whole life, His whole life is just spent in just watching TV, drinking beer, going to clubs, and this and that. But if we look beyond the externals of this elephant-like person, and if we look within their hearts and see that person as a servant of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, and see Krishna within the heart of that person, then Krishna will reciprocate as the super soul and tell this big elephant-like person that, this guy who you're talking to, he's a nice person, he's a monk, you should give him some Lakshmi, you should buy this book, this is good for you. So the same thing Prahlad Maharaj experiences in 7th canto, same thing we can experience also on Sankirtan when we do outreach, if we have that consciousness. Same way Prahlad Maharaj is dealing with snakes, Krishna is telling from within the heart of the snakes, don't bite him, don't do any harm to him. Same way, sometimes on Sankirtan we'll come across very angry-like personalities, snake-like personalities who are by nature very envious, by nature very angry, and at the slight provocation they'll just swear at you, say bad words at you and shout at you and make you feel very bad. But if we look beyond that and if we look within their hearts with the spiritual vision, just like Prahlad Maharaj is saying, then Krishna from within the heart, as the super soul of these snake-like personalities, will also preach to them, tell them that this person is a nice person, don't get angry, don't swear at him, he's a nice guy, you can trust him, give him some money, take this book. So the same thing Prahlad Maharaj is experiencing, through his devotion we can also experience, if we also cultivate that consciousness. So this is one thing that came to me from this Saturday's verse regarding Prahlad Maharaj. Now in today's purport, Prabhupada again is highlighting this point of Diti's pleasure, how she's simultaneously happy because her grandson will be a great devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, and also her 2 sons will be killed by the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada in the purport, he's mainly emphasizing this point of how Krishna is absolute and because Krishna is absolute, there is no difference between Krishna's violence and non-violence. Even if Krishna kills someone, that person gets liberated. So maybe we can talk a bit about Krishna's killing demons. So from Krishna's killing demons, one thing we can learn is how kind and magnanimous Krishna is. I think a week or two ago we came across one verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, where Srila Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, he is describing the personality of Krishna in one very simple verse. So ordinarily speaking, we're all individuals, we all have different personalities. Someone is very outgoing, someone is very shy, someone is very reserved, someone is very jolly, so on and so forth. So different persons, you can describe them in a few sentences, their unique personality. Now when it comes to Krishna, Krishna is also a person. Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. Now what can we say about Krishna's personality? There's so many things we can say, but Srila Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, in one very beautiful verse, he sums up the defining characteristics of Krishna's personality. So Srila Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, he mentions 3 points regarding Krishna's nature, regarding Krishna's personality. Ishvara Swabhava, Bhaktera Nalay Aparada, Alpa Seva Bahumane, Atma Paryanta Prasada. So Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami explains that Ishvara Swabhava. What is the Swabhava? What is the personality? What is the nature of Krishna? Point number 1, Bhaktera Nalaya Aparada. Point number 1, Krishna is so kind and merciful that he never sees, he overlooks all of our faults. So that's point number 1. Krishna is just looking for an excuse to somehow or other take us back home, back to Godhead. So his nature is such, point number 1, that he overlooks all of our faults. Point number 2, Alpa Seva Bahu Manye. Alpa means little, Seva means service or devotional service. Bahu means very great. So Alpa Seva Bahu Manye means we just do a little devotional service, Krishna will magnify that, and from Krishna's vision, he will think that little devotional service we did is very great, is something very, very amazing. That's the reason why it's given, Lord Jagannath's eyes are very big. Lord Jagannath's eyes aren't big because he's looking to see where we're going wrong in our service. Lord Jagannath's eyes are big because he is looking for any small good thing we're doing. And even though it might be very small, Alpa Seva, Lord Jagannath with his big eyes will magnify that small service as something very great. And Lord Jagannath will tell Baladev that, did you see what this devotee did? He just picked up that mat and put it in the corner. Did you see what this devotee did? Today he chanted my holy name for 5 minutes. Did you see what this devotee did? Like this, Lord Jagannath, he will just see a small service we did for him, Alpa Seva, but being very magnanimous, he will magnify it and he will think it's something very, very big and very, very extraordinary. So this is point number 2 regarding Krishna's personality. Point number 3, so point number 1 is Bhaktera Nalaya Aparada. He doesn't take any offense, he overlooks all of our faults. Point number 2, Alpa Seva Bahumanye. For a small devotional service we do, he will magnify it and give us and think it's something very great. Point number 3, Alpa Seva Bahumanye Atma Paryanta Prasada. Krishna, one of the unique characteristics of Krishna's personality is that he is very, very grateful. He never forgets even a small amount of devotional service that his devotees do. And to understand how grateful Krishna is, this third point by Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami explains this. We just do a little devotional service for Krishna, Alpa Seva. Krishna thinks of it as very great, Bahumanye. And Krishna, his heart gets overcome by so much gratitude. His heart becomes overcome by so much gratitude that in return, to reciprocate with his devotees, what does Krishna do? He gives his very self in return, as prasad, as mercy to his devotees. That's what Atma Paryanta Prasada means. Prasada means mercy. Atma Paryanta means his very self, his very Atma. Krishna gives his very self to his devotees. That's how grateful Krishna is for the service rendered by his devotees. As devotees, we just do a little service for Shri Radha Gopinath, for Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, for Shri Shri Jagna Baladev Subhadramani. And their nature is such that they're so magnanimous, they're so compassionate, they're so grateful, that even for a small service we'll do, they'll think it to be so great that in reciprocation they'll give them very selves to us. So in this way, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, he explains the wonderful nature, the wonderful swabhava of Krishna. When I read that verse, I was amazed. Wow, such a wonderful way to sum up Krishna's personality. There's many different ways we can glorify Krishna's personality, but in this one very simple Bengali verse, in 3 simple points, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, he's so wonderfully glorifying the magnanimous, kind, grateful nature of Krishna. Regarding coming back to Krishna's gratefulness in Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami, he gives an example highlighting Krishna's gratefulness. And the example he gives is from Ramayana. Part Ramayana, part Krishna Lila. So in Ramayana, Jambavan, he's a great devotee of Lord Ram. And Jambavan, out of deep affection for the Supreme Lord, he presents his daughter, Jambavati, to Lord Ram. That I have this beautiful young daughter, my dear Lord Ram, please, I want to give her in charity at your lotus feet. But Lord Ramachandra, he has taken this vow of Eka Patni Vrata, I'll only marry once. So Lord Ram, he politely refuses. He says, in this particular avatar, I can't do this. I've taken the vow of Eka Patni Vrata. I won't be able to fulfill this. Fast forward in Krishna Lila. Again, that same Lord Ramachandra is there as Krishna. And again, Jambavan, he meets with Krishna. And this time, Krishna, he marries the daughter of Jambavan, Jambavati. And Srila Rupa Goswami, he takes this Leela and pastime as an example of gratitude. How? Srila Rupa Goswami explains that when did Jambavan first offer his service to Lord Ramachandra? When did Jambavan first offer his daughter in service to Lord Ramachandra? Many, many yugas ago, when Lord Ramachandra came. And when did Krishna come? Krishna came only after many, many yugas, after Lord Ramachandra. I think Lord Ramachandra, he came in the previous Manvantara. So many, many millions and millions of years passed in between the pastime of Lord Ramachandra and Krishna's appearance. But Srila Rupa Goswami, he uses this example to explain that even after many, many millions and millions of years, Krishna, he still remembered that many, many millions of years ago, this particular devotee of mine, Jambavan, he offered his daughter in marriage to me. I couldn't fulfill his desire, but now in this birth, let me fulfill that desire that my pure devotee had many, many millions and millions of years ago. So in this way, Srila Rupa Goswami, he highlights the gratefulness of the Supreme Lord. That any service we do for Krishna, for Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, they will never forget. Even millions and billions of years later, they will still always remember. This is the reason why, same thing, Uddhava, he highlights in 11th canto during Uddhava Gita, that verse, how it starts off, Tasmad bhavantam anavajyam anantaparam. So in this verse, Uddhava is explaining some qualities of Krishna, why we should all surrender unto Krishna. So he's saying, Tasmad, therefore, Tasmad bhavantam anavajyam. Anavajyam means there are no personal discrepancies in Krishna's character. Ordinarily speaking, all the friends we have around us, our family, friends, devotees and others, they all have many good qualities, but they also have some little things which annoy us, or we see some faults in them. Obviously, we overlook those faults, but for all our near and loved ones, they have many good qualities, but they also have some faults in them that we see. But Uddhava is saying, Krishna is not like that. Krishna is anavajyam, which means there are no There's not even a single trace of any bad quality in Krishna. He has no personal discrepancies. He is the supreme perfect personality. So that's the first quality Uddhava says, why we should surrender unto Krishna. Tasmad bhavantam anavajyam. Then he says, Ananta param. Ananta means unlimited. Param means Krishna is not limited by time and space. And in the purport, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada explain that ordinary in this material world are great friends, dear loved ones. We'll only be present with them only for a certain duration of time. They're all limited by time and space. So we can only have the association, we can only have reciprocation with them only for a certain duration of time. But Krishna is Ananta Param, which means He's unlimited, He's not limited by time and space. And that's the example with Jambavan, because Krishna is not limited by time and space. A little service Jambavan did, millions and millions of years ago, Krishna is still remembering. And also Krishna is not limited by space, which means the disciples of Prabhupada explains that our husbands or our wives, our brothers, sisters, our best friends, they can't be physically present with us 24 hours a day. They can't be physically present with us during our whole lifetime and after this lifetime. Only for a certain duration of time we can be in their physical proximity. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna is not limited by space. So therefore Krishna is personally with us at all times, places and circumstances as the Supersoul. Therefore again Uddhava is saying we should take shelter of Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is anavajyam, He has no discrepancies in His character. Number 2, Ananta Param, He is not limited by time and space. Whatever good things we do for Krishna, He'll always remember. At all times He'll be present with us. He is not limited by space, which means we can be anywhere in this universe. Krishna will be always present with us. And Sarvagya. Sarvagya means that He is omniscient. He is all-knowing, which means He knows exactly every single detail. Whenever we do any service, Krishna is watching every single thing we're doing for Him. Not only externally, but He's also watching our consciousness, our mood, how we're doing that service. So He's watching all those little details. And the smallest thing we'll be doing, which everyone else will overlook, which everyone else won't notice, but Krishna will notice. For example, many times we'll do a particular service. Sometimes we'll do a service and there's other devotees who watch us do that service, and other devotees will come and say, Prabhu, thank you for doing the service, it was very nice. For example, we cook some prasad, and other devotees, they notice that today we were the cook, and other devotees will come and give some gratitude. Thank you, Prabhu, for cooking, the feast was very nice. Or we're cleaning the temple, and while we're cleaning the temple, some other devotees, they will notice us cleaning, and later on they will come and say, Prabhu, you did a very good job of cleaning the temple today, thank you for your service. So sometimes we do devotional service, and other devotees, they see us doing that service, and other devotees, they say some nice words to us, and we feel very happy that, some devotees, they notice my hard work, and they appreciate my service. But many times we'll do services which no one else watches, which no one else notices. So many times in our spiritual life, we'll end up doing a service which no other devotee will see us doing that service. We'll be all alone, and there's no one else to watch. At that time, this thought will come, I'm doing this service, but no one is there to watch or appreciate. I'm not going to get any recognition. I'm not going to get any mercy or, blessings of other Vaishnavas. But although, at those times we can remember, although no other devotees are present to see us doing that service, no one is there to notice that service, Krishna is there. Within our hearts, Krishna is noticing every single service we're doing for Him, even though others might not notice. So that's the importance of the word Sarvagya. Sarvagya means Krishna is omniscient. Every single thing we do for Krishna, not only externally, but also within our minds, Krishna is noticing, and Krishna will fully reciprocate with us. And the last thing Uddhava says is Ishvara. Krishna is the supreme controller. So He is the supreme boss of the universe, He is the supreme boss of the material world and spiritual world. So who better to take shelter of than His lotus feet? So in this way, Uddhava in 11th canto very nicely puts out this list of beautiful qualities of why we should all surrender unto Krishna. Number 1, Anavajjam. There's no discrepancies in his personal character. Anantaparam. He is not limited by time and space. Sarvagya. He is fully cognizant. He is fully omniscient. He is personally watching and appreciating every single thing we do for him. And number 4 is Ishvara, that he is the supreme master and controller of everything. So that's in relation to Krishna's gratefulness, or Krishna's kindness, his magnanimous nature we were discussing. So that we see with Krishna's killing demons. Ordinarily, say a new person, he hasn't read any of Srila Prabhupada's books, and he hears God, okay, there's some demons attacking God, and God, he kills the demon. So ordinary for a common man, when he hears God killing a demon, without any background of reading Prabhupada's books, he will think that after this demon is killed, what would his destination be? He would go to the hellish planets, right? And he would suffer in hell. Okay, maybe not eternally, at least for some thousands of years, God will send this demon to hell to suffer and then bring him back. So for a common layman, that's what he would assume. That when a demon attacks God, God would kill that demon and send him to hell. And that would be the conditioned nature for all of us. If someone is inimical towards us, wanting something bad for us, then we would, want them to get captured by the police, and we would like to see them go to jail and repent and suffer for some time. But Krishna is the opposite. For the demons that come to kill him, Krishna, instead of punishing them, he just sends them he just gives them liberation straight away. And from this we see the kindness or the mercy of Krishna. Especially we see with the case of classical example of Putana. I like how Prabhupada, he introduces Putana in Krishna book. Prabhupada says that Putana, she's a witch. And Prabhupada in Krishna book, he explains that Putana, she's no ordinary witch. And Prabhupada says that amongst witches, different witches have different specialty. Just like everyone goes to university, everyone studies, many persons, they study medicine, but some, after they graduate, they specialize in different fields. Or many people study engineering, but at the end, after they graduate, they specialize in a particular field of engineering. Someone will be specialized in mechanical engineering, someone will be specialized in geotechnical engineering, someone will be specialized in structural design, water engineering, so on and so forth. So in Krishna book, Prabhupada explains that among these demoniac witches, they have different specialties. Just like engineers, they go to university, they study a particular topic. So similarly, this Putana, she went to a demoniac university and she specialized, she did a PhD in killing babies. So that was the specialty of Putana, Prabhupada explains in Krishna book. So different witches have different specialties, and Putana, her specialty was, she had graduated with a master's in killing babies. So that was her specialty. And Kamsa, he was very happy to see the resume of Putana, that wow, she has done PhD in killing babies, this will be very handy, and she has very good work experience also. So Kamsa, he hires Putana, and he sends her to all the nearby lands and assigns her task to kill all the babies. So Putana comes to Rajadam, she comes in disguise as an elderly gopi, and it's explained that she was very beautiful. And when all the Rajavasis saw Putana, they thought, this is like Swayam, goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, who has come. And no one stopped her, she just went freely, she just walked straight into the house of Nanda Maharaj. Even Mother Yasoda, Mother Rohini, they didn't stop her. Obviously, the influence of Yoga Maya is there for the pastime to go on, that none of the Vrajavasis stopped her. So Putana, she goes straight up to Krishna. And obviously, she's going there with the demonic mentality to poison Krishna. But the Acharyas explain that Krishna, he overlooks all the faults of Putana. And what does Krishna see? He sees, okay, she might be coming to poison me, but still, it's explained that when Putana, she comes into the inner chambers of Nanda Maharaj's house, when she sees Krishna, the first thing she does, or the first thing that hits her, is the wonderful beauty of Krishna. So this is how beautiful Krishna was, that whenever any demons would come to kill Krishna, when they would come to kill Krishna, the first thing that would astonish them is the wonderful beauty of Krishna. So for a moment they would appreciate Krishna's beauty. And Krishna, he would watch that at least for that very slight second, for a slight moment, they're appreciating my beauty. That's bhakti. Appreciating Krishna's beauty is actually devotional service. So when Putana comes and sees baby Krishna, he notices that Putana, she's appreciating my wonderful beauty. So he's point number one. That's the first thing Krishna notices and gives her credit. Point number two, Krishna is thinking that although she might be coming with ulterior motives, still she's dressed as my devotee. She's coming as a Rajbasi. She's coming as an elderly gopi. And externally she's trying to do some service to me. Never mind her breast is poisoned. Still she's trying to feed me milk. This is devotional service. So in return, what I'll do, I'll give her the position equal to that of my mother in Goloka Vrindavan. Because she's dressed as my mother, because she's following in the footsteps of my mother and trying to feed me breast milk, and because she's appreciating my beauty, I'm very pleased with her service. I'm going to elevate her to Goloka Vrindavan. I'm going to make her my nurse. So this is one very amazing example we see in Bhagavatam of the kindness and the compassion, magnanimous nature of Krishna. He overlooks all faults and he's just looking for an excuse to give us maximum benefit. He's just looking for an excuse for us to go back home, back to Godhead. So as devotees of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, we should also have this magnanimous, broad-minded mood when we're going to do outreach. So all those new people we come in contact with, we should overlook their faults and see the good things they're doing and encourage them. Prabhupada would say, fan the spark. See the good things they're doing. I'll finish with this. In one purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada, he very nicely explains how we should do outreach. Prabhupada says, first thing we should do when we do outreach, when we preach to new people, is instead of telling them all the don'ts, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't do this, first thing we should do is tell them things that they can do, which means give them prasadam, introduce them to kirtan, introduce them to nice books, nice philosophy, introduce them to the musical instruments. So Prabhupada in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Adi Leela, one purport, Prabhupada explains, first you give them the do's, don't talk about the don'ts. That, okay, this is sinful, that is sinful, don't do this, don't do that. Prabhupada says if you say like that, they'll get fried up. So first what you do, you give them the higher taste of Krishna consciousness. You give them the holy name, you give them Krishna prasadam, you give them Bhagavatam, you give them spiritual wisdom, and let them slowly cultivate the higher taste. Then slowly, after they cultivate the higher taste, then you can explain to them, okay, this is not good for devotional service, that is also not good, so maybe you should not do this, maybe you should not do that. Then because after many weeks or months of having that higher taste of holy name, of having that higher taste of Bhagavatam, of Kirtan, then they'll have that strength to overcome the don'ts, to overcome those bad things which are unfavorable for their devotional service. So that's the way Prabhupada explains in CC, or how we should preach to new people. Initially, don't worry so much about the don'ts, you just give them the good things, the positive aspects of Krishna consciousness. Give them time to cultivate higher taste for holy name, Bhagavatam, devotee Sangha, for Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Then after they cultivate the higher taste, then you can tell them, okay, this is not good, that's not good. Then you can present them with the don'ts. Then because they have the higher taste, they'll have that spiritual strength to overcome all these anarthas. Okay, well, stop here. We're over time. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagurusha Prabhupada ki jai, entire Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.